I don't know how many of you guys follow me on Bluesky. Hopefully, all you guys, because I came up with a constitution for the Sunland Federation, which is meant to protect us from the cops, and it's meant to make it so that the president isn't you can't just be a crime boss in charge of the police, and next thing you know, we don't, nothing matters there anymore. The Constitution, all your laws are completely irrelevant because you got the judges and you got the people that actually do law enforcement. And so the Constitution's purpose was really getting rid of the FBI and making sure that we have transparency into our government. I created 2 social media companies, and I had a lot of different media companies that were created in the Constitution to spread out ownership and also spread out the ability to do free speech. But one thing I've just come up with is Reyes City, which is in Point Reyes, which is a national seashore. It looks like it's about the size of San Francisco, how much area is available. It looks like this. There's apparently a giant waterfall that takes 13, that you can hike to if you can walk 13 miles, and I'll do that. And I was thinking that I would reserve 2,000 acres out of it's 70,000 or something. I don't know how many it is, but I'm not going to actually use it all. I think I'd use 200 acres for the Congress and their staff, for the 50 people from the president and the staff, 50 people from the vice president and their staff, my staff, security people, and then I was going to do just 20 ambassador setups. Maybe for Brazil and Mexico and Germany and France and Italy and Spain and stuff like that. So I don't want to do ambassador setups for everyone there. I would still have the embassies in Washington, D.C., and I think that would be easy. And so this would allow me to build a really, really sick residence where I would actually live. And I'm pretty excited about it because it's called Reyes City, which is King City, plural for Ray, which ray of sun. It's called Sunland. And I think that my twin planned it that way. My twin's crazy. You don't even understand what it's like being that guy's twin. You're everything I've ever wanted, you planned for me. I have the North Pole. Yes, you do. I have Hawaii also. Yes, Hawaii is actually technically yours. Good. Just make sure the Asians know that Hawaii's mine from their own history is he's from Hawaii. That way we don't have to end up in a war over Hawaii. And just make sure that everyone knows that Greenland's mine. I do own the North Pole. I mentioned that my constitution I wrote for Sunland included 2 social media companies, which one is called Sunland Auto Social, which employs feed monitors who can only remove social media posts because of extreme violence, child nudity, because a post depicts an overt sexual act, or because a post contains confidential national security information. And then if they do remove a post because of national security, they have to alert the executive branch and the King's branch. But when a post is blocked, what was I actually trying to show you? You have rights over your social media posts in the Constitution. And also I added free advertising. So all citizens of the Sunland Federation can access $5,000 worth of free advertising space over the course of their lifetime. They don't have to do it at the same time. And that'd be because I basically just stole everyone's companies anyways. I took all their servers and I said they're mine and I make money. I'm the one that makes money, or Elf Advertising makes money. But you still get stuff too. And I think it's common sense. Of course you could just use advertising space. But you would know when you did it. And so you'd only be able to spend $5,000 worth. Okay, so the best part of the Constitution is probably the primary process, where you create a group, and here's an example of a group name: Amandia for King 2030 official campaign, Alleluia for President 2030 official campaign. So there's a structure of it, and when you join the group, there's an alert message that says this is a pre-primary support page, because you're trying to get into the reality show. You're trying to prove that you have enough people that like you, that you should be on this primary reality show, because you might be running for regional whatever. But vice governor is the police chief. They have a lot of access to national security information type stuff, and they're the highest ranking police officer, military type person in the state. I mean, they would be a general in the military if the military was converted immediately. Would be the vice governor. And so, like, there are a lot of jobs that people run for every 4 years. Everyone's like running every 4 years, and the president and the vice president both choose judges, and so does the governor and the. Well, I think the vice governor does too. 25%, up to 25% of district court judges are chosen by vice governors, and they also have the ability to fire them. So the social media feed is overseen by the IEEE, the auto social media feed, because there's like the feed has no one that will ever actually like try to make content. I want to talk a little bit more about this primary process for running for public office, for running for Congress and Senate and all that stuff. So you go to sunlandlegalforms.com, and then there are election forms, and you fill out a form and you register as a candidate. And I don't know exactly what you have to do, but once you register as a candidate, you create a online candidate support group, and you have to follow a naming convention. And like a person that's registered with the social media company, like they verified their identity. Like maybe you went to a Walmart and you went to the customer service desk and said, "Hey, I need to register my Sunland Social account." And they say, "Okay, do you have your ID?" "Yeah." "Cool, thanks. You are registered." And they have you log in there, and then suddenly you're set up. So then you just have to join a group, and you can only be a member of one group per primary. So like there's like a presidential primary, and there's governor, and there's vice governor, and all that stuff. It's easy to run, and if you qualify, then you get to be on the reality show against 10 to 20 people. I think it depends on the show. I think it's like at least 10 it has to be, or else we have to say, "Hey, no one's on the show," and then some random person's like, "I'll do it." And so you actually do have to have competition, and that's it. So each group would be linked both to the regular Sunland Social, which I don't know if that's the name, and then there's Sunland Auto Social. So if you see something on Sunland Social, it's not going to repeat on Sunland Auto Social, because it will know like if like you've seen at least that person's thing. But maybe if a different person shared it, like it might not actually stop it from coming through to your feed, because like different people are sharing it separately, but they're not just sharing like a linked thing. But it's a lot like Instagram, and except like it might have like a tiny bit more of a Twitter type thing. I don't know exactly what it might just be exactly the same, because I don't really care. I like it. All right. So when a post is blocked on either of the two Sunland social media apps, the user must be notified that their post was blocked. If a post spread is manually limited by a physical person, the user must be alerted. So there are rules like that in the Constitution, and it makes it so that like we have a way better democracy. In my opinion, it means that like that like the king is like basically like they don't get involved very much, because but they have so much money because they're protecting the economy. Like they're like doing business, like they're doing the Instagram type business that Instagram's doing, and they actually do pay taxes. One thing my Constitution does is it kind of gets rid of the military. Suddenly the military is called Secret Service, and like we don't know if a military person is like an intelligence person, or if they're just like a former military person that does like whatever they do for the almost military. Because we do have security operators, but then we have everyone's pretty much police force. Everyone's under the police. But then we still have trade security bases. In my opinion on like my military bases is, what am I going to do? I'm not going to close them all, but like, cause like, I don't even know how pissed everyone would be about that. And I don't know what that would do, but I do know that like if a ship is making distress calls, like I need to have people close by. Like I can't just like send my military from California like super far away, like to like Panama or something like that. Like I do like need to be closer than like so that so we can respond to like piracy and stuff like that. Because like you're shipping like very, very expensive stuff. But the more close I get with China, the less like scared I get about like certain places that we have trade security bases. And I do think that my relationship with China could be that good because like I am a clone of Sun Kong, and like that means like I'm like the Chinese god, and that means that they probably will just treat me with respect. And I think that like that means that my twin had like every intention of actually having a good relationship with China and doing business with China and like maintaining a relationship with China and like being allies with China someday. And I think that he knew exactly what he was doing. So the immigration rules are that if you live here right now, starting on like a certain date, which I think is January 18th, 2026, and you're an illegal immigrant, then you can go like get a newspaper and flip through it and be like, look where I am, look at my neighborhood, like I'm at this sign, and like this is where I live. I prove that I'm in the United States, and if you can prove it that you were in the United States, as a person that actually, I don't even know, like, what are people going to do? Just travel here and be like, well, I'm an illegal immigrant. That's not going to count. Like, you have to, like, be able to say, like, this person knows I work here and stuff. I don't even know exactly what it is, but, like, because you can't, like, come here on a 2-week visa, and, like, that's not the same. Like, you have to actually, like, be an illegal immigrant. And if you are, then you become an American citizen. And if you've been deported in the last 5 years, and you speak English like very well, then you become a citizen, and birthright citizenship's done, and you can pay for citizenship. The price I think is like I think you can pay $5 million, or you can buy like a certain amount of real estate. I feel like my original estimate of 4,000 people in the capital of the United States, which would be called Reyes City, because it's in Point Reyes, that's King's City, or Ciudad de Reyes, which is an hour from San Francisco. And what was I saying? That I got to figure out what the town is and how many people can be there, and like, because I think that what happens is everyone goes to San Francisco, and then they go to Reyes City to go see it, and that's a joke. Like, we got to make sure we got a strip club. We do have prostitutes. Don't worry. That's a very small town, so you don't have to check your small town. But there is a town, and it's nice, and there's an art gallery, there's a convenience store, there's a toy store, there's a music shop, there's a bar, there's a restaurant, there's a coffee shop, and I think there's like an Asian style tea shop, and then there's an autograph store where you can buy autographed constitutions, but I will not sign autographs for more than 10 minutes a day. I'm that serious about it. Like, cause I'm not going to spend my whole life signing autographs, but I will, like, and that means that they're going to be super duper expensive. Cause I have a feeling that like my autographed constitutions are going to be like 10 grand. So there's a library, cause Ben Franklin invented libraries, and that's in like the actual town. Like there's like a town area. And then like, there's also like embassies there for like however many people end up with embassies. And I think there's a pretty decent amount of room there in that area. And there's a restaurant that has is like a ballroom restaurant, because I do think that you have to, I think that they go to ballrooms, and then like there's a person that stands up with a microphone and goes, "Oh, welcome, we're all having dinner together." Like, I think that's what they do, because they host dinner parties in Washington, D.C. Okay, so there's an oyster bar, because you have no idea what the oysters are like there. If you've ever been to Bodega Bay, you have no idea what an oyster is until you eat oysters in Bodega Bay. That is not the same oyster. Those are freaking good oysters. And I think you have to have a hotel, a school, and that's a network operations center. So Congress has 2 lecture halls, but then there's also offices. And then, like I said, there's a strip club with plenty of weed, which I think you can actually just get at the convenience store through the vending machine. All right, so do I think I'm going to bother elephant seals? Probably not. Mind control technology is the reason that I need to be in charge, and when I talk about how serious the situation is, I think a lot of people don't get it. Like, this is that serious. Like, it's scary for people that are against the mind controllers, because like everyone around you could end up accidentally turning into like the most evil person. And you have to always worry about that. But I'm planning Reyes City, which is the capital of the United States, which is where I live after I become king. And like, but king is more like government monitor. Like that's kind of what he is. But he's also in charge of the military because he's not going to do evil stuff. So I had to plan countries that can pay me $5 million or more. Like $5 million is like the most basic embassy where it's like pretty small. And I don't know exactly what I'm planning for the embassy setup at all, but I do know there's a diplomat meeting area. So like the embassy the $5 million might go more towards a residence for like diplomatic staff. And then like they might actually want to just go to the diplomat meeting area because they don't have enough space in their embassy space. But if you spend more money on an embassy, you can get a bigger embassy. But in this town, what I was planning on doing is selling autographed constitutions signed by the real Jesus clone, the Jesus clone that wrote that constitution. And that's why I know I can make $1 billion. Like I think I'd have to sell 100,000 autographs to make $1 billion, but I do think like that's realistic. And I do think around 100,000 autographs, I might get very, very tired of making autographs. But so there's this cool town area, and like I think the buildings, some of the stores look smaller than they actually are. Like the toy store opens up more because I think it's going to be pretty big because there's like the toy test area, and then there's also probably like more of like a back daycare area. If there are that many people there, because you can drop off your kids and go look around the nation's capital. What I added since the last time I talked about it was there's a film studio because I have to have a green screen room and like a newsroom. And then the church recording studio, that's for like, because you want to jam in a church that's pretty cool looking, and church architecture is cool. And you can also have a choir record with you, and also you can film in the church. There's a gym in a spot because people need to work out. Like this is a walking town, but like in the main town area is very walking. So I think I don't know how many of these we would build, but I think we'd have a network operations center inside one because they don't really need windows anyways. And what else? Like maybe one of the restaurant ballroom could be inside one, and I don't know, whatever doesn't really need windows. Could be inside, like pretty. I was on a walk yesterday, and I heard in my head, you didn't include freedom of religion in the Constitution. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't. Cause I thought I like copied it down and I didn't. So I think that I do have to put in a bill or an article that says freedom of religion, and I do have to build a Hindu structure, which is not a Hindu temple. What it is a structure. And like the structure is a part of an outdoor garden type area. So there's the town that like is like everything's in town. And then there's like the White House and the president's house and the vice president's house, which is probably closer to the beach. And then there's like park areas. But the town, like when you go into a small shop, it can open up behind all the shops, like if it's a lot of space. But then there's also the Embassy Street, and but I do think that you have to have like a Buddhist temple that's like, I would say like a Zen Buddhist temple, and then a Hindu temple. But no one goes to Hindu temples there, and that's why like it's more like there's like one thing like this, like it might just be like an outdoor display, and this might actually be more like this, like where there's like an opening, but I'm not exactly sure exactly how we're going to do it, but it's very modern, very clean. Like I think people do yoga probably in the Zen Buddhist temple, and that's where yoga meetings are. I think that it's very possible that people would do yoga outdoors near the sort of shrine, and like I said, there's like the Christian church, but I don't know, like, I mean, there might be speaking from the Christian church, but I don't know, like, it's not big, like, it's like probably like 10 pews, like it's like a pew type church, like, which is like, it's for decoration, like the whole town's for decoration. But we do have freedom of religion in Sunland, and we believe that like in actual freedom of religion, not just like freedom of Jesus religion, You do have freedom of Jesus religion, but like I think that like part of my religion is actually my like being able to use marijuana. Like you'd never believe that's like actually part of like my like nature religion, my relationship with like the world. And there are a lot of people that feel that way, is that they have a relationship with nature. But no, that doesn't count, because that goes against our laws that make us so much money because we're criminals. We sell weed. I've been to Point Reyes before, and I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out like where I would want to build the Capitol, which basically these things, that's my symbol for a Mormon temple like that. Because I want, like, as you drive in, there's a Mormon temple, there's a restaurant area, like, which is multiple restaurants, and then there's a parking area, and then there's a Buddhist temple here where people do yoga, and there's the shrine, and I added a mosque because I don't care if it's there. And then there's the barracks, there's the church where we record music, there's the king's house. So this is the same compound. The king, president, and vice president all have the same compound. There's the beach. There's a storefront thing, and then there's a hotel. And I can't figure out like exactly if that's going to be where it is, because I might not have beach at all if like this is where we build it, like up at the, which is 2 hours from San Francisco. It's far. Do I think the seals would run away? No. Why? Because I'm from, or I used to live in Santa Barbara, and they're there. So this would be like 1 kilometer to the temple looking building, which is across from another temple looking building that like, I think this one would be the banquet hall, which is like a buffet type, but it's like, it's a bunch of different like cooks like out in the open combined with buffet, and it's a big open room that looks like a Mormon temple. And then this is a park area because you can like hike down here and stuff like that, which would be beach. All right, so this would be like a UN, like, which is like the diplomatic meeting area, and I'm having trouble not doing tall buildings for housing out there, but I don't think I need to, because I do think they're going to be individual buildings up front that I was going to have people live in. So Congress, so like I said, this is 1 kilometer from here to here, which is 0.6. That's a super easy walk. That's Mate Factor to Sunwater Spa for me in Manitou, which I'll never ever care about, even when it's up and down. So I did out a clinic in school, and there's a guard shack, and there's a landing place for the airport, and where are the slave quarters? No, those are the people that don't make enough money to live there. That and that's the thing about slavery. Like, I think that money can enslave people, and like we have to figure out how to make sure that like we're not like working too hard at making like people not rich enough. Like, because it's hard to like have too many super rich people, or else we'll ruin our economy. But we also like we need to make sure that like poor people aren't like completely screwed, which is like what a lot of countries can end up in. That's the situation a lot of countries are in. I'm having a lot of trouble designing Reyes City because, as you guys know, I'm a fascist, and I just said I was going to add a mosque. And like the reality is that I don't know how to use the mosque. And like that's like the real thing, is like I have no idea how to use the mosque. And then what you say is, well, it's not for you, it's for the people that are Muslims. And what I'll tell you is I don't know how to use a mosque, and I don't have a school there. And like my plan is basically like the kids go to school until they're 10, and then they go off to college. And that's why I have this hotel on this side, because like I will hike that way. Like if I'm up on here, say that this is where the compound is with the king, vice president, and president's houses, and we can all go down to the beach here, which goes on forever, and the closer to the beach is where this hotel area is, which is like critical, and this like store, and I think like probably like a restaurant type area thing, and like maybe even like a coffee shop in the morning. Like I think I'd probably go to that coffee shop, but I have other coffee shops in town. But I think that I could also go the other direction, away from the beach, which is where everyone would want to be, from the hotel and from the embassies and the politicians and the politicians' kids and stuff. But I think I would be able to go this way, the other way, away from the beach, because there's the beach, and then I'd go the other way, which is left. And so I wouldn't care. I would especially not care if it's like people I know that are in like a hotel type thing, because I think I'm gonna have too many kids. I think I'm gonna have like 80 kids. Like that's kind of how I've ended up. But my real issue is that I think this should be a school and not a mosque. And I think this should be a museum and not a mosque. And that doesn't mean that, I don't know. The problem is how close it is to town. Yeah, it's like I feel like I should be able to be a fascist, and a fascist can say, well, I mean, what am I going to do with the mosque? Like, we will do yoga, and this is an art display, and I need a school, and then the kids have to be able to go like run and stuff. They have to have a sports field and stuff. I have spent some time thinking about it, and the conclusion I've reached is that we can build a masjid there. This is the masjid of Abu Bakr. He was the first Khalifa. He was the first he was the first caliphate. He was the first after Muhammad. There was Abu Bakr, and then I think there's Omar and Uthman and Ali, and that would be all of them. Yeah, and so they were the leaders of the Islamic world, and he apparently Abu Bakr built this. I think we can just do a recreation of it, or a similar recreation with the same style, with the brick combined with this, and then we could put it there. Because I really it, but I'll only do it if someone will loan me a very old Quran, because that's really what it is. It's it would be a museum place where you you can show up and see an old Quran or something like that. Because I do like the way the architecture looks that much in this building specifically, and yeah, and it's right next to the museum also. So it's not that I don't have that big of a problem with it. And then that means that the school might be located over here near the airport, and yeah, I didn't realize it was going to be 2.5 hours from certain parts of San Francisco, which is, I think it's kind of far. 2 hours for me is almost Temple, Texas. It's pretty far. I mean, it's past North Austin. All right. So the big issue with this plan I have right now is in 1906, the land at Point Reyes shifted northwest over 16 feet. So apparently, I'm going to build a city that's going to be moving with earthquakes. It's the part that literally moves. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work out. But I also don't know what's this way. But I do think this area is probably just going to be left for whatever we do later. All right. That's enough. I think it would look cool. And so this Mormon temple is not a Mormon temple. I think this Mormon temple would be a museum, this one, probably. Because you drive in, there's parking, there's a museum there. Because there's more space that way. This is this is where you guys can go walk. I'm not walking there. That's too much space. So I think the best idea is once you're outside of town, that's when you use that much space, which would be for the United States government's museum. I think a lot of stuff would end up there just because it would be the capital. I think that some people will have to come to terms with the fact that they're fat people, and there's nothing like being Santa and Buddha both at the same time that makes you go, I'm fat. Oh man, my twin knows I'm fat. But the thing is, I'm not fat. I'm big boned. I'm a little bit like Cartman, and that's why I hang out with Cartman, or I used to hang out with Cartman all the time. Cartman used to be pretty much my best friend, and that would be a clone of Satan. So when you come into the town, while you can still drive, because it turns into a not driving town, you pass a Mormon temple, and then there's the Buddhist temple, which is not a museum. It's where people do yoga, and it's I think they can do Buddhist stuff. Because I don't know what Buddhists have to do. You never believe I'm a Buddhist and I don't have to do anything because that's why I'm a Buddhist. I don't have to, I'm just a Buddhist because I don't have to actually do anything. I don't know if the Hindus actually need a shrine to go do shrine stuff, but really it's a display. And the mosque, what they do is they have this thing called the Qibla wall, which is facing Mecca. So they know when they're facing Mecca. They have to know where they're facing. But really, all I have to do to make this a mosque, even if it's not a mosque, is have a Qibla wall, because really what it is a publicly available museum. So like when you come to the masjid, what you see or like it's not a mosque ever, but there's a Qibla wall, and there's like the guy who goes there to pray, because Muslims always like just pray facing Mecca, and they don't really care, as long as they do have a direction to pray. So like, because like, am I actually having church services? I don't really think so. I think that it's a community in general. Like everyone goes to the dining hall, which looks like a Mormon temple, or and they eat breakfast in the morning and stuff like that. And people know each other from that and that and that. And like, it's a pretty small community, and everyone always goes and meets at Congress together and at the diplomatic area also. So yeah, what I was trying to say is this is the free museum, and then there's the bigger museum